What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28, and that's the one, the only. It is Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Scott, what's going on, buddy?
Well, I spent a lot of yesterday being excited about older games, but I'm going to spend a lot of today being excited about the future games.
Man, there's a lot going on in the world of video games. It's never a dull moment. Just a quick little heads up about yesterday. Yesterday I touched on Telltale's revealing the behind-the-scenes look at Wolf Among Us 2 that actually drops today at 1 o'clock. Dude, every day just kind of blends into the next, doesn't it?
It does. It's going to be a busy day as well, but we're going to get into that.
Absolutely. Coming up on today's show, where you can always join us live over on twitch.tv/theofficialITG, as well as YouTube at Inside the Game Official. If you can't join us live, hit us up later. InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services, TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, we are streaming live for 2 hours Horizon Forbidden West on February 17th. And thanks to our friends over at PlayStation, we'll be giving away a copy of the game. Make sure you follow us on Twitter to be able to enter into that contest and a copy of one game I cannot wait to talk about. Coming up on today's show, though, Platinum Games would like to talk to Xbox and reconsider the cancellation of Scalebound. Let's get into that one. We're also getting 40 minutes of Nintendo Direct later today, showcasing our Nintendo 2022 lineup. And was there a canceled Metal Gear Solid game, Scott? Really? What?
Oh, I suspect it wasn't that simple.
Probably not. No. Speaking of not simple, let's get into what Platinum Games has expressed interest in revisiting its canceled Xbox exclusive Scalebound one day and opening discussions with Microsoft and gaming CEO Phil Spencer. Comes from Andy Robinson over at VGC. The action RPG was originally planned as an Xbox exclusive in 2017, Scott, just a couple years ago, but the game was eventually canceled. Speaking in an interview with IGN Japan, translated by VGC, Platinum's president, help me out here, Scott, what do we got?
Atsushi Inaba.
That's what I thought. And Vice President Hideki Kamiyama? I'm going to go with that. Well, Kamiya were asked if they like to revisit the game, and their first expressed an interest in opening conversations with Microsoft. Quote, they have always wanted to do Scalebound, so we'd like to have a proper discussion with Microsoft. Buddy, do you think we'll ever get this game back, Scott? We have it canceled so many years ago. It was an Xbox exclusive, a different twist on an RPG introducing dragons as one of your main companions. Like, man, I'm all for this. Let's go.
Yeah, no, that one seemed to be really mysterious, but I thought it was a lot further back than 2017.
Yeah,
so I'm
me
a
too.
little confused on that. I thought it was growing and growing in legend until now. But that is going to be quite a big grab if we can get something like that, because it would be, well, years and years of hype.
Yeah. It would have been a nice exclusive, too, for Xbox to have. I think that would have been a cool one to get out of Platinum. Platinum is obviously known for some of the coolest, wackiest games around, Scott. I think it would be fair to say. They definitely have a unique twist, Bayonetta being one of the crazier titles, but it's a huge fan following on that, right? So we'll see what happens. We have a quote here. It says, "I'd loved fantasy worlds since I was a child. I always wanted to make something around that theme. This is how I thought of a world revolving around a young man fighting together with a dragon. However, it was a big challenge for Platinum Games. Quote, we were working in an environment we weren't used to. We were developing on the Unreal Engine. We also lacked the necessary know-how to build a game based on online features." Because, Scott, you maybe not remembered, but it had co-op. It was a co-op online game.
Oh, man. No, it looked to be really exciting at the time. And just knowing more about it, it's like still that excitement's there. I think there's still a lot of hunger for co-op games.
Oh, absolutely. Co-op games, I think, now are stronger than ever. Honestly, I really do. Especially with the online connection. The ability there to just kind of pick up with your friends and away you go. Dude, Outriders comes to mind for me. Like, it's just, hey, hang out with Kyle and Nate, and boom, away we go. We jump into that world. There's just so many other opportunities now. The way the pandemic has hit us all, and the lack of being able to kind of go out and hang out with friends, a lot of us have converted over into the video game realm, and from there hook up with all of our friends and socialize on video games. Dude, we do it all the time. This is what we do. Like every night you and I are playing, right? So
you can tell people are getting kind of lonely because even PlayStation Home is coming back in some sort of form. It's not called PlayStation Home this time, but seeing that concept come up is, well, it does highlight, though, there is still an interest in interaction, and it's worse more than ever now that we can't get together. I'm a huge fan of couch co-op games, though. I think the boat has sailed on that, though.
Well, we'll see. Well, we're still waiting on Halo to bring back their co-op for Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
Right? We're all waiting for that. Gears 5, dude, is probably one of my favorite co-op experiences of all time. As I said many times, I completed that game with my wife, so that was fantastic. Dude, let's get into what's going on today, because there's a lot going on today. Nintendo has a 40-minute direct coming today. It comes from Wesley LeBlanc over at Game Informer. Nintendo Direct is happening today, 5 p.m. Eastern, Scott. So,
yes, this one was a bit of a surprise, I think. I don't think it was very heavily alluded to before they announced it.
no,
Just
a bit
yesterday.
of a stealth drop. Yeah, it was a stealth drop for sure. The Direct will run for 40 minutes. Plus, most of what's shown will be games released on the Switch in the first half of 2022. That means we'll likely be seeing Chocobo GP and Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Scott, anything here you're looking forward to out of today's Direct?
Chocobo GP. That was one that I've kind of laughed about before.
Yep.
And I'm actually excited to see it, though. So that's good news for me if it does come up. But my brother is super into Kirby as well. So there's something for the two of us here. But I'm wondering what kind of other games are we going to see? It's likely that we already know about them all because it's going to be the first half of this year. Unless they're going to stealth drop an entire game. But
I don't
those
see
happen pretty few.
They do. They do happen far and few between, especially for Nintendo, I feel. But dude, we'll probably get the likes of Bayonetta 3 info, Splatoon 3. I know you're a big fan of Splatoon.
That would be great.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens out of that one. Honestly, you never quite know with Nintendo. I heard rumblings that people are talking about maybe another Fire Emblem announcement.
Okay.
Right, so that one's been a little dormant now for a while. So we'll see what happens. The last one kind of came out when I think the Switch initially launched a few years back. So
three houses, I believe, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So
we'll
see.
Quite a few years ago.
We'll see. We'll be checking it out. We'll have a full recap tomorrow for you. So if you do miss it, don't worry. We got you covered here. Scott, let's move into one of our favorite series and franchises of all time. And we have just one more question after another. Metal Gear series artist claims Konami canned a game in 2019 after months of development. Comes from Hyrule Crier over at Games Radar. The former Metal Gear Solid developer has claimed a project was canceled at Konami back in 2019. Over the weekend, it was noted that the former Metal Gear series artist and co-director Akiwa Nakamura made several tweets referencing an unannounced project at Konami in late 2020. Apparently, one tweet in particular from Nakamura makes mention of a project that was in development for a number of months at Konami in 2019 before being canceled. Further tweets from Nakamura indicate that this project was apparently the revival of a specific IP, Scott, though it was never mentioned what that IP was.
A revival of sorts. I'm not so sure I know the Konami catalog to take a good guess at what that could be.
Well, a lot of it just went right straight to Metal Gear, dude. It was just like, can they revitalize the life expectancy and expectations of what we hold in regards to what Kojima's built with Metal Gear, right? That's the biggest thing. Will we ever see the return of Metal Gear?
Do you think Metal Gear will survive?
Oh, please don't do that. Don't ever do that again. Metal Gear Survive was in 2018, right? And that was the biggest problem. Okay. That was a whole separate game by itself. Not one that really took off well with fans at all. I know my brother tried it and he's like, what is this? As fans of the Metal Gear franchise, they took a complete spin in a different direction, like introducing almost like a zombie base building mechanic, which you know, if you played Phantom Pain, so Metal Gear Solid 5, you had your own FOB, so you had your own base that you kind of built upon and helped all that kind of stuff, and that was cool. But then they went for this other survive aspect, and man, can we ever get another Metal Gear without having Kojima involved, Scott?
I don't think it could happen quite the same. I think people would try and do their best to emulate Kojima, but
sure,
I don't think you could really, compare it to the man himself. But
no,
I was curious about this because I've forgotten what year that big Konami divorce was from Kojima. I want to say that was probably 2017 or even earlier.
It sounds about right. Yeah, 2016, 2017, somewhere in around there, right? Because then no sooner did he leave, formed Kojima Productions, and then was started in production of Death Stranding, which was something completely different than Metal Gear. So
yeah. I'm wondering if it's probably unlikely that this was specifically a Metal Gear. If it was in development in 2019, that is. If Kojima is completely out of the picture by then.
Yep.
I don't know if they did much to keep Metal Gear active beyond Survive. I think that was kind of the nail in the coffin.
Absolutely, I think it was. Back in October 2021, a report pointed to a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake being in development at a Singapore-based studio. Rumors of a remake of the original Metal Gear Solid has persisted over the past few years, with nothing ever coming to fruition. Dude, that is just heartbreaking. Honestly,
Yeah.
we talk about what will PlayStation do in the wake of Microsoft with the purchase of Activision Blizzard. Yo, this is just more of a fan service, but please get Metal Gear. Just go buy Konami or just buy the IP and do us all a favor.
or here's a crazy idea: they buy Platinum Games and Scalebound is a PlayStation exclusive. How funny would that be?
That would be a turn of events, wouldn't it? That'd be wow, that'd be a unique twist. Man, oh man. Speaking of twists and turns, Take-Two plans sequels to many of our most beloved franchises. LA Noire and Midnight Club referenced. This comes from Michael Hardens over at PSU. Speaking during his latest earnings report overnight, Take-Two executive Strauss Zelnick expressed interesting pursues sequels to a number of existing IPs. And while not confirming anything specific, he did reference a long dormant franchises such as LA Noire and Midnight Club. Scott, Midnight Club, I haven't heard that in a very long time. It was definitely an arcade racing game. Dude, I remember going off of rooftops into buildings through windows, kind of like an old school feeling of Fast and Furious scenes.
Yeah.
Like you had that scenario. I loved Midnight Club back in the day. That was PS2, PS3 era, I want to say. I was in around there, right? So
I think I played one on PS2, and I was it LA? It could have been LA, but I remember it was unique because if you just tap a car on the side, it spins out. So I was racing against a friend of mine, and I just kept tapping every car. It added a little bit of battle racing to it. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, that'd be really interesting if they bring that back. LA Noire, I've never heard of anything about a sequel.
Well, so they
seemed to be a one and done.
It did, didn't it? But they remastered it for I want to say it was last gen, PS4 and Xbox One. So we saw the iteration move from PS3 360 days over into the next generation at that time, PS4 and Xbox One. And now it's just been kind of, like you say, it's been dormant now for a long time. Strauss made it clear that there's a healthy portion of IPs in the company's portfolio that would benefit from being resurrected via new sequels. Quote, "We have the strongest and most diverse pipeline in our company's history, comprised of new intellectual properties as well as sequels to many of our beloved franchises. We look forward to delivering many of these titles in the coming months and beyond." Scott, are we expecting an announcement from Take-Two? Are you looking for Max Payne to come back? Another Midnight Club sounds like it could be on the rise.
I was not expecting Max Payne out of all things. Ooh, that name comes up in surprising amount of times still to this day.
Absolutely. It really does. Dude, it invented bullet time. Like, bullet time was incredible way back in the day. Now, that was made by Remedy, I believe, at the time. Max Payne first came out, I believe it was Remedy. From there, Rockstar purchased the rights to Max Payne. So it's changed hands. And then they made Max Payne 3. Will we get Max Payne 4? Will we get LA Noire? Are people looking for these games, Scott? I think that's the other side of it too, right? Is there a callback? I think LA Noire definitely has an opportunity to see a sequel. It had an interesting concept of, you had to investigate everybody, and then you had to kind of almost like drill them and in some kind of investigation scenario, right? And you're looking for clues and this, that, and the other. I think they could really take that forward, get into that. I hope they stick with that time period though, Scott. I really do hope they stick with that.
That's what made it so nice. Okay, people complain about driving around at the speed limit, but it was actually interesting in that game. That game made a lot of things that are normally not so exciting very interesting.
Dude, I never played it, believe it or not. I actually never played that game.
My favorite was when you're on the arson cases, because those are really fun to investigate.
Are they? Yeah, man.
There's a couple of firebugs in the town. It was a good.
As one, I should maybe kind of go back and at least check out. We can probably get it on next gen consoles, I would think, right?
I think so. Yeah,
I would think so.
I'm wondering now, LA Noir, what about NY Noir? You know, there's a lot of other options. Chicago Noir, oh, that would be a good one.
That would be a good one. Scott, we're going to skip the next article because I don't feel like getting into it today. Let's move on to Atomic Heart because that was you're excited for. Dude, why don't you take this one away?
Yeah, I'm really excited about Atomic Heart because it looks to be exactly my kind of shooter. Last we heard of Atomic Heart, the game was at the polishing stage,
Sure.
which was way back in August of 21. Now, however, we're about to get our next update today at 11 a.m. Pacific time. That's 2 o'clock for us at Eastern.
Yep.
It's good to be finally hearing more about Atomic Heart, although the wording release window does bring up some concern. Yes, the window could theoretically be next month, but if that was the case, we'd be more likely to just get a release date. I think I agree with that. This means it will probably be at least another few months before we get to play Atomic Heart ourselves, with a spring-summer release date likely scheduled. There's a lot of mystery. Not much has been said about Atomic Heart since they released a little bit of some gameplay teaser.
Sure.
But it looked to be really, I'm looking at the image we have on screen now. It looks just about done now, doesn't it?
It looked creepy then. It looks creepy now, dude. I'm just not. I think it looks cool. I think you definitely they have an audience like yourself hungering for something like this. It kind of reminds me of Ghostwire Tokyo a little bit.
It gives me like a Soviet Fallout feeling.
There you go, dude. This is all you. Yeah. If we get this one, you can review this because I don't want anything to do with it.
Happily.
But it looks polished, right? Like that in this trailer that we're watching, dude. It's old. Like that. This is old, and that's how good it looks. Then where are they at now in the development cycle? Right. I think a spring release is probably best. Atomic Heart is a new IP, so how do you kind of get out there ahead of other titles? You either go after them or you go before them, right? You don't want to get into the holiday lineup; they'll just get demolished, and I think that's something they need to be aware of moving into the holiday season here. Once summer's obviously finished, but it's kind of choosing when to launch your game. I think is a tricky scenario because you don't want to be lining up with someone that like, dude, February this month is nuts. Like you don't want to launch this month, man. Like we had Seafood, we've got Horizon Forbidden West, there's Elden Ring. Like everybody's wallets are empty.
Like, Dying Light just came out. There's tons.
So I think lining up to be the proper time is something you gotta be aware of.
It's almost like the folks that schedule releases over at EA were in charge of everyone because they all came out almost the same weekend.
That was so weird. They just monopolized their own lineup, right? I mean, it's
man, that one hurts because Titanfall.
Well, that's just it. When are we going to get Titanfall 3? I think there's obviously a hungry and a potential for it. And if they wouldn't have released Titanfall 2 in the time period they did, I think it would have made a lot more sense. Dude, they announced that release date and everybody went, really? Like, why?
Yeah,
why are you doing that?
Next to Battlefield?
Yeah. If they did it now, it probably would have took off.
Oh, yeah. And now the whole landscape's changed. I don't know if we'll ever see Titanfall 3, but I think we're more likely going to see Apex 2 before we see Titanfall 3.
I heard rumblings of that yesterday, too, of Apex 2 coming. I was like, really? It's funny because in the Battle Royale genre, we don't see sequels, right? We see iterations on the map itself, adding new characters. They're just looking to build that roster. Not that it's a Battle Royale, but dude, look at Siege. They just keep adding one operator after another with new seasons and this, that, and the other, right? And that Battle Royale scene kind of has that same formula going for it. Like PUBG hasn't changed. They've added more maps. They're a little bit different. Fortnite doesn't add a new map. They reiterate on the map. They flipped it on his head several times. And then Apex has been doing the same thing for a long time. There's also rumblings of Apex coming to mobile. Definitely looking forward to that. We saw them post on Twitter that it's coming. I'm like, man, I definitely want to jump in and be a part of that and see how that goes. But yeah, the whole landscape is different now, right?
I'm thinking we're not going to see a Fortnite 2. I think the only time we're going to see a Fortnite 2 is if we do get an Apex 2 that comes along and spurs the moment because what if they take the spotlight from Fortnite? Well, Fortnite 2 would just erase that whole attempt.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess like who can outshine Fortnite, I think is the question, Scott. Because yeah, I see like a lot of people are still playing it, but not as many as it once were, right? Like it's not as big
Yeah.
as it once was. It's still a juggernaut. There's no doubt about it. They're still pumping out new skins, this, that, and the other every flipping day for it. So there's always something new and exciting. And this season has probably been one of the best seasons to bring everybody back. But yeah, well, what a scene. And it definitely changed the landscape. But what happens with Apex? Hopefully something, man, I'd be curious to see if they ever do a sequel. But Scott, we do have a couple announcements for today, buddy. What else do we have for today? I saw this morning, came in, and I was like, yes, this looks cool.
The Serpent Rogue by Team 17 and Sengi Games has today announced alchemy-driven action adventure, The Serpent Rogue. Will launch on PC, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series consoles on April 26th this year. Nice. Embarking on a quest to save the world from the corruption known only as the Serpent Rogue, the Warden must utilize each tool at their disposal to cleanse the realm and restore balance to Mount Morbus. I never heard about this one before.
Dude, it just dropped this morning. I just got in a press release from Team 17, so thank you to them for sending that over. This looks awesome. Like, it really looks cool. I like, man, it's funny how I'm starting to get into some of these rogue experiences, and if they're not too punishing, I do like to go back over and over and kind of get into that realm. So it's definitely pretty cool. We do have a couple games out today, though, Scott.
Was that Returnal for you?
Yes.
It got you into, that's unlikely for a start of roguelites.
Dude, what a beautiful game. That game is incredible. And it's voiced by Jane Perry, one of my favorite voice actresses of all time. So it's very cool.
Oh, it looks great. But today we do have two releases, both on the Switch. We have Action Arcade Wrestling and Backbone. I've seen Backbone before, but I'm not so familiar.
So Backbone is a unique indie title. I believe it's on Game Pass, Scott. So you can definitely check it out there. I checked it out. It's a pixel art style. It's very cool. You're the detective, and I've been following that one for a while. So it's something that maybe people should kind of keep an eye out. And if you're looking for it on the Switch, I think it fits well with the Switch. Honestly, that transition over into the handheld formula. There's a lot of dialogue, so you're doing a lot of reading and stuff like that, but it's easy to sit back and chill out and do all your investigations and stuff. What kind of reminds me of, was it Black Sab? Is that what we played, Scott? It was, oh man, we reviewed it so long ago.
That one.
Yeah, you were a detective, it was a cat, and it kind of reminds me about the same sort of similar thing, but dude,
looking at it, I think Beat Cop.
Oh, well, not quite.
It's got about 1,000 times the polygons, but
yeah, the art style here though, like I'm not a huge pixel art fan, but I do appreciate what they've done here, and they created something very, very cool and very, very unique. I think it's awesome. If you haven't checked it out, it's now on the Switch. It's also, I believe, on Game Pass, so somewhere for everybody to be. But Scott, as always, dude, just like that, the show is over. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. This has been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. Don't forget, we're streaming live for 2 hours over on ESTV and the ESTV Plus app, as well as Inside the Game over on Twitter, YouTube, everywhere you can find us streaming, dude. We'll be there. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and win a copy of the game. Until tomorrow, everybody, I'm Drew, that's Scott, and this is Inside the Game.